Hey everyone, it's Smitha. Today I'm going to be putting on some of my favorite makeup products and answering some juicy questions. And this is a collaboration with one of my really good friends here on YouTube. She's also on Instagram and TikTok as well. Her name is Newport and her handle is Newport Makeup. And if you enjoy sparkly and creative makeup just like I do, I think you would really enjoy her content. Not only has she become a friend of mine and I've had the chance to meet her in person, but she's also just an incredible human being. So what we did is we asked each other a few questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and answer the questions that she posed me. And then I'm gonna go ahead and answer the questions that I posed her. And because I'm probably gonna be distracted while I'm talking, I'm gonna put the makeup products that I'm using in writing in one of the upper corners of the screen. So she knows that I work in healthcare and make beauty content, and she asked me what I would do if I didn't do either of those things as a profession. And I thought that was a really hard question because I already feel like, that's a lot of things to do, and I have kids, so I just feel like my hands are pretty full. But when I thought about it a little bit more, I thought that I would probably want to try to have a business. There's a couple of different businesses that I would have. I would either own a coffee shop. I love coffee. I love interacting with people. And I just think it would be really hard, but it would be a lot of fun. I would want it to be, unique in some way. I'm not exactly sure in which way, but I would want it to be a place where people would really want to hang out and they would like the coffee. And then the other thought I had was, owning some type of beauty store in San Francisco, which is where I live. So yeah, those are two totally different things, but some type of business. Second question she asked was, she knows that I love sweets, and she asked what 3 desserts I would pick, or what are my favorite 3 sweet treats. Really hard question because I do really love desserts, but I would have to pick cheesecake as one of my options, and then another option, which I've recently rediscovered because I discovered an amazing Indian restaurant that has really great, it's what's called mithai. It's almost hard to explain, but it's basically like condensed milk with, different types of nuts, especially cashews. Like, that's my favorite. And I grew up eating this type of dessert. I feel like, if you haven't had it before, it's definitely polarizing. It's hit or miss whether people like it or not. I was really happy to learn that my daughter actually really likes it. That made my heart happy. But that would be my second thing. And then my third thing would be mango. I love mango. I love mango season. I love a perfectly ripe mango. A little bit of tart, very sweet. So yeah, those are my 3. Okay, next question that she asked is, what is my ideal day off work? So that's a day that I'm not allowed to do any work or content. And that's hard because, that's a lot of what I do. And I actually really like making content. And now my life is super full because I also have little kids. So I would say, and my kids are 5 and 1. So, that has changed the landscape of the things that we do. I would say pre-kids, my favorite thing to do would have been to go with my husband be outside all day and hike. I think there will be an age where my kids can hike, but we're a little bit of a ways off from that. So at this point, an ideal day with my whole family would be to be spending the day with my family, and it would be to do something outdoors. We like to go to the beach. Recently, we've really enjoyed, now that the weather's nice, going to Six Flags because there's a lot of stimulation for them, but usually it just means getting to be outside and with family for like most of the day. That's my ideal day. Okay, the next question that she asked is, if I could live anywhere in the world, where would it be? And that's another hard question. we've only been in San Francisco for a couple of years, and I think that it's, a pretty great place for us. But we've also gotten to travel a decent amount too, especially, before we had kids, but we have traveled some with our kids. My husband and I have talked about, how cool it would be to live in Japan. We've actually been there 3 times now together. The first time for our honeymoon. He said that he would love to live in Tokyo. I actually slightly preferred Kyoto. I love them both, but I like in Kyoto, it's a little bit more spaced out, a little bit slower paced. And it's not slow paced, but compared to Tokyo, it's slower paced. And then there's a lot of really amazing food and hiking and all that kind of stuff. But Japan is just such a cool place, and yeah, we think about it. We think about, in a dream world, could we, it's in some day or some universe, have a place there one day. Okay, and the last question that she asked was, what is my favorite kind of content to make? Another really hard question. I feel like the type of content that I have made has really changed over time. I started off with just doing swatches. That was when I first started on Instagram, was a very photo heavy time when, people didn't really post videos on that platform. Most videos were on TikTok was just becoming maybe a thing, but really it was YouTube for long form videos. And then Reels came about and started doing some swatch reels and swatch or just, applications of makeup and stuff like that. I would say that right now my favorite type of content to do is ones where I get to combine both of those things, swatching and seeing products really up close and also applying them. So that's my favorite content to make, and I find very satisfying to make and consume. All right, now we're gonna get into the questions that I posed. And first, we're gonna start off with, what 5 products would I pick if I could only choose 5 makeup products to use for an entire year? What 5 products would they be? And that excludes skincare, but does include complexion and stuff like that. Okay, so the first of the 5 products that I would pick is the Milk Makeup Skin Tint. I actually had to think about this for a while because I absolutely love the House Labs foundation, but it's full coverage. So if I only had one complexion product that I could pick for the whole year, I would probably pick something lighter because that's what I go for on a day-to-day basis. I like this formula. It feels like a moisturizer, and they did so well with the undertones in this. I find that a lot of complexion products pull sort of yellow or orange on me, and this one really takes into account my more kind of olive undertone. Next, I would pick the Kryptine Cosmetics Atlantis palette. If you didn't know this already, I absolutely love sparkly eyeshadow. I love cool tones, especially blue eyeshadow is something that I don't think that I could live without. And I like that in this palette you do get some neutral tones as well as an iridescent shadow, because you could use that iridescent as a highlight as well. So if I did really want that editorial highlight moment, I could get that from just using the iridescent that's in the palette. I am so incredibly obsessed with Kryptine Cosmetics. I highly recommend this brand if you've not tried them before and if you're really into sparkly eyeshadow and really unique color stories. These are some really quick one-swipe swatches that I did with the palette. Next, I picked the Kulfi mascara. I've absolutely loved this mascara. I know it's kind of a boring makeup product, but it is something that I think I would have to have if I was limited to 5 makeup products. I love that this is a tubing mascara. It is pretty lengthening on me, and it's definitely one that I'm going to repurchase. Next, I would have to pick one of the House Labs Glassy Blush Bombs. This is probably my most used blush formula lately. And this one in particular really has my heart. It's like a brownie red type of shade. I just think that this tone of blush in general is incredibly underrated. And then the last of the 5 products that I would pick is Fenty's Major Flex. This was a limited edition gloss bomb that came out last year. I'm still really holding out hope that it's going to come back and be a permanent part of the lineup. For me, this is definitely like a comfort zone type of shade. It adds a really pretty gray tint to the lips, and it has multicolored sparkles throughout. I'm so focused on answering the questions that I'm having a hard time also doing my makeup at the same time, but I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this palette, starting off with what I wanna use first. I'm gonna do just a pretty simple eye look, and I'm gonna start off with this shade Coral right here, this light blue matte. So my first question, or my second question, is if I could meet anybody, who would it be? So if I had the opportunity to meet absolutely anybody, who would it be? And you know, I thought about it a lot, and I honestly think I would meet one of my celebrity crushes, and that would be Cillian Murphy. It's also recently been Pedro Pascal, but I'm gonna go with, you know, someone who I've kind of known and followed for longer, and that's Cillian Murphy. I think that he is a phenomenal actor. I have loved him for years in like Peaky Blinders, and in Batman. He played a villain in Batman, and then of course Oppenheimer. And then in addition to being just an incredible actor and really hot, he also just seems like such a cool person. Like, you know, a really family-oriented person, a person who really cares about his friends. So yeah, that's who I'd pick. And my husband even knows that I have a celebrity crush on him, and he approves. But anyway, and then I'm gonna take this same matte and run it underneath my lash line. The next question that I asked was, you know, another one that is sort of hard to answer, but I asked the question, if I could do one thing differently in life, what would it be? And, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, we should live with regret, but, you know, after living in this world for a certain amount of time, you do get to thinking about, you know, okay, if I could have gone back in time and done just one thing differently, what would it be? And for me, you know, I feel fortunate that I've found a passion for beauty and for making content and for connecting with people. You know, that was something that I only discovered about 4.5 years ago when I was in the depths of the pandemic, as I like to say. I'm gonna use this deeper matte in the outer corner. But, you know, I think if I could have done anything differently, it would be to take risks at a younger age, to not play it safe, to not be worried so much all the time about the consequences of doing something, of stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I think, you know, that's a good lesson for a lot of people. And it's definitely a lot easier said than done. I think that, you know, it was also a product of the environment that I was living in. And, you know, when you have, like, my parents are just, you know, they're first generation immigrants, and they have done such incredible things in their life and had to sacrifice so much for, you know, for us to be where we are. But, you know, there was very much a survival aspect to that. And so I think, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, I didn't think that it was okay for me to do something creative. I don't mean as a career, but even like, you know, as a hobby. So really having something really creative that I did outside of school and sports, because I was also like a competitive athlete, and I think I would have benefited from that. And I think I'm sort of in some ways making up for lost time. And I love this idea that, you know, it's never too late, because it's never too late to do something that makes you happy or that you're passionate about. You don't have to have been doing it since the time that, you know, you were a little kid. It's never too late. I also remember seeing that, you know, Danessa Myricks posted something on her Instagram page where she talked about how she had never touched, you know, or basically done makeup on somebody else until she was 40. And look how many amazing things that she's done in just, you know, like, I don't know, decade. I think she's in her 50s. I think that's just such an inspiring story and something that, you know, I like to remind myself. But anyway, yeah, if I could have done, you know, one thing differently, it would have probably been to, you know, allow myself to have a creative outlet earlier on in life, and be okay with, you know, taking certain risks earlier in life. My next question that I posed, Nupur, that I'm also going to answer is a singer or a song that really speaks to my soul. And I'm someone who is very nostalgic for certain songs. I think a lot of us are, like songs that I listened to in college or in high school just remind me of that moment in time so much. And so I don't know if it is for this song, it's a specific moment, and this singer, it's a specific moment. But I think that Florence and the Machine just has so much soul. And the song in particular that I always just kind of gives me chills is Shake It Out. Because basically it's just like a song about, you know, letting go of a certain heaviness, of sort of literally shaking it off. And her voice is just incredible. I'm going to use this shimmer here. It's really hard to pick a shimmer because there's so many incredible shimmers in the Cryptine palettes. But yeah, for me, that is my kind of combined singer and song that I would answer to that question. All right, and then last but not least, I asked the question of what's an unexpected interest of mine? And, you know, I was thinking, I kind of asked the questions before knowing what specifically I would answer to them. But then as I was thinking about this question a little bit more, I realized that what's unexpected to one person may not be unexpected to another. It's what each person kind of like knows about you. So I think, you know, people that know me in the beauty space are, you know, surprised to learn that that I am, you know, a healthcare worker, that I'm a doctor full time, specifically like a stroke neurologist. And then the people that I know like at work are always like surprised to learn that you know, that I do beauty content and that I'm a beauty content creator. I'm actually using this iridescent in the inner corner just because I love an iridescent and I love an iridescent highlight. So I think for the people that I know on here, a lot of people at this point may know that I'm a healthcare worker, but you may be surprised to learn that I have an interest in running and athletics. I grew up as a competitive runner. I did that through college. I was D1 runner, and then I still love sports. I like Olympic year is always huge for me. So I would say that maybe that's my unexpected interest. And then I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this look with some mascara and lip gloss. I'm using, this Kulfi mascara that I haven't been able to stop using since I got it a few months ago. I actually am due to get another tube of it. It's time for me to replace it, but absolutely love it. And it was a lot harder than I thought it would be to answer questions and do my makeup at the same time. And then finishing off my look with the currently unavailable Major Flex lip gloss from Fenty, because it's a gray gloss and I definitely got several extra tubes of it because I'm not going to run out of it anytime soon. I don't want to. This is my final look. I had a lot of fun making this video. I'm really excited to see Noupour's answers. I know this is a very different video than I've done in a very long time, but if you watched it, thank you so much for joining, and I will be back very soon with another video. Have a great weekend. See you later. Bye.